What's up, YouTube? Your boy, VP Blocker Larry, back again Friday. Back with a great show today. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. A lot of you are watching, you're not subscribing. Do your boy a favor. I'm a small channel, trying to grow it, trying to spread that word and that truth. I'm not a financial planner, not a financial guru, not a life coach, but I'm an idiot that made a lot of mistakes and don't want my blockers to go through that. Now, here's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about a couple things. I want to talk about a lot of your big YouTube influencers that have touted stocks, pushed cryptos, and a year later, they are in the toilet. Some of your biggest YouTube influencers out here. Now, I'm going to throw some hints and you can read between the lines. You got YouTubers that have one show and then they have an after-hour show. You got some people that say, destroy the like button right away, and it would help me out a lot if you destroy the like button. And you got some people out here who are just, they flip-flopped on their whole beliefs. First, they were investing in this and companies that had good growth and good sustainability, and then they started touting cryptos. Now, if you invested in cryptos a year ago, your Shiba Inus, your Dogecoins, some of your speculative cryptocurrencies, you're down horribly. They don't talk about Shiba Inu no more. They don't talk about Dogecoin. Even Bitcoin took a hit. Everything's been taking a hit. People who touted Netflix, Tesla, and even Amazon. Now, there should have been some common sense on why Amazon went up. There should have been some common sense on why Netflix went up. There should have been some common sense on why cryptos went up. There should have been some common sense on why people were buying Tesla, and that's a whole nother story. I'm going to talk about Elon Musk and Tesla. I think he is a total fraud. This is my opinion. I think he's a fraud. I think he's a crook. And I think he's the worst thing to shareholders, and I'll tell you why. Now, the reason why Amazon went up was because people were home shopping. They had nothing to do. When we were going through the whole lockdown thing, people were home shopping. They got free money, they were buying items, and they were home shopping. Their revenues went up with Amazon Prime. What? People were home watching TV. Simple common sense. Netflix. Why do you think their subscriptions went up? Because people were home streaming. They don't have a wide moat. You got Hulu, you got Peacock, you got Roku, you got Apple, you got Amazon Prime, you got Netflix, you got regular cable, you got basic cable, I think is still out there. How do they have a moat? You have YouTube. People are watching movies on YouTube. Why would you go to Netflix? So I always talk about these evaluations. People are paying for stocks where they think they're going to be down the future, down the line and in the future, and then earnings reports come out, and then the stock crashes. Oh, it's tumbling. Yeah, you paid a year ago where you thought it was going to be today. Price to earnings ratio, forecast. You can't listen to that crap. Now, if you ever notice index funds, they don't have a forecast because they don't know where they're going to be. They don't have a PE ratio because they don't know where they're going to be. You pretty much buy them, and what they do is what they do. Now, I tout them. I know I sound like a broken record, but there's a video out there on Vlad TV. Search this yourself. Vlad TV. Watch his channel all the time. He does some great interviews. Vlad is interviewing Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street. And at the end of the interview, he says, what do you recommend, Jordan, to new investors or investors who want to be comfortable or wealthy? What do you recommend to them what they should do with their money? Jordan Belfort didn't even blink. He goes, invest in an S&P 500 and you'll be fine. Do it for 30 years. You can even do it for 20 years. You'll be fine. And he said, but I know people aren't going to do it, so that's why I'm in business and I pretty much sell courses on other things because I know people aren't going to do it. He says your hedge fund managers can't beat the S&P 500 over a 5 to 10 or 20-year span. Vlad brought up Warren Buffett, and he was like, yeah, but Warren Buffett can't even beat it. And Jordan said, well, people like me and Warren Buffett, we get stocks at a different discounted rate that the public don't get them for. We get them for cheaper prices. We buy them in bulk. Your average shareholder, they pay more for it. Now, he also says Warren Buffett will tell you to invest in the S&P 500. And people keep trying to make it like a game. You don't got to beat the S&P 500. You can do what the S&P 500 does and mimic the S&P 500 and you'll be fine. I was on the elliptical the other day and a show popped up. Well, yeah, something popped up on the big TV in my gym. Shout out to Retro. I'm in my gym and it says the halftime stock report. Dun dun dun. I'm like, the halftime stock report? What? They made it a show to be like sports and gambling, the halftime stock report, because it was 12 o'clock. Are you serious? This is what we're doing now? We're making a halftime show like a sports report? People really don't get it. People try to compare what's going to happen next to what happened in 2008. That's totally different. That was a lot of fraud going out. That was a lot of people getting mortgages who shouldn't have been getting mortgages in the first place. They were eventually going to default anyway because their credit was crap anyway. So if they defaulted on a credit card with paying back a credit card company for charging Taco Bell, what makes you think they're going to be, on time with paying their mortgage? But that's a whole different story. What's going on now, it's pretty much what happened during the Great Recession. And I'm going to break down a lot of similarities to you. During the Great Recession, first you had something called the Roaring Twenties. Then you had something called 1918. What happened in 1918, they had something called the Spanish flu. It lasted for about 18 to 19 months. People were home, they were scared. And then what happened after 1918? You had the Roaring Twenties. What do we have now? People were in their homes in 1918, stuck in their homes, and then they got out. What did they do? They were drinking illegally through prohibition, and it was the invention of the car. A lot of things started to be invented, like refrigerators and ice boxes and all different things, and margin. People were buying stocks on margin, borrowed money. They were buying stocks in speculative companies that were popping up. They were treating themselves to more extravagant things. They were spending more than they had coming in. Credit was introduced. What happened in 2020? People were home, and what are they out now? What's the first thing people did? They went out and they overbought on huge houses because they were afraid they weren't going to get one. Now, that was another thing that was pulled over people's eyes. They lowered interest rates, but you bought more home. I own homes. You don't start paying onto your premium until like your 15th year if you do a 30-year mortgage. If you're 30 years old, let this sink in. You're willing to pay a bank 30 years for your home, but you're not willing to invest in the S&P 500 for 30 years to build your wealth. Now, there's a lot of similarities that went on in the 1920s that is going on currently right now. With a lot of speculative zombie companies that were getting pushed along because there was free money floated out there. I made a video like 8 months ago. I said, how does they hone in, that's my fishing rod, they hone in all that free money. The markets start to crash, cryptos start to crash, and values of things come down. You can only kick the can so long down the road. Now, Elon Musk, I got to talk about this guy. I believe he's a crook. Here's how he's a crook. When he took $1 billion and invested it into Bitcoin, I said, now, I know he didn't send the proxy out, okay? A proxy is what a company and its board of directors, when you vote for your board of directors, and what they plan on doing down the road to raise revenues, and what revenues are currently doing and what they forecast. And say if they say, all right, we're going to shift gears, all right, example, AT&T stock dropped because their proxy came out. A lot of people read their proxy before they even released this in the news because shareholders get a proxy. They were going to spin off Warner Brothers. They were going to separate. They were going to not be joined forces no more, so their stocks start coming down because people get scared when things like that happen. I doubt Elon Musk sent out a proxy saying, I'm going to invest $1 billion into Bitcoin. Shareholders, maybe they did vote for it. I don't own individual shares in Tesla because I think the stock is worth $150. Okay, if that. Now, I doubt shareholders said, okay, that's a good idea, and we're going to vote for that. Here's another thing. People said he took $44 billion of his money and bought Twitter. He didn't take $44 billion of his money. He took loans against Tesla to buy Twitter. You're putting your money in Tesla, and he's taking money out buying something totally different than Tesla. Benjamin Graham's book says you got to be weary of people who do that when they start doing other ventures instead of concentrating on what made them wealthy in the first place. Why wouldn't you take $44 billion and invent a $10,000 or $15,000 Tesla? That's how you change the world. That's how you change the game. You come out and you say, you know what? I want everybody to experience clean energy. I want everybody to experience, the technology I have in this car. I want everyone to experience how it is to have autopilot. I want everybody to experience an affordable car. I'm going to make a $10,000 to $15,000 electric car. But no, he's getting into Twitter. What does Twitter and Tesla have to do with each other? Explain that to me. One is one thing and one is another thing. So you got to be weary of people like that. And I personally don't trust him. Okay? Netflix is crashing because people were home. You had people touting Netflix. Netflix is going to go to $900. This is why it will. It didn't reach $900. And it's tanking. Because people want to go outside. They want to enjoy life. They were inside too long. Now, I tout index funds. I say I invest in dividend stocks. Now, 90 to 95% of my money is in index funds. Just in case I get this whole dividend investing thing wrong. If I get it wrong and I screw something up, I know I'm still good. Because the majority of my money, I don't got to watch it. It just grows. It just does what it does. If a stock that is not in the S&P 500 no more, if it's not, a large cap, it gets kicked out into a mid cap and they replace it with something else. I don't got to do nothing. Okay? That's what life is. You let your money work for you and you live life. You enjoy life. Some of your YouTube influencers, they don't leave their basements. They don't leave their houses. They wear the same clothes. What do they think? They're Mark Zuckerberg? I wear the same jacket and t-shirt so I don't have to worry about looking for clothes. Some of your people are multimillionaires and they're misers. They're just misers. They worry about money too much. It's okay to be proactive in your investing and worry where your money's going, but you also got to live life. So, hope this video helps. Stay away from the speculative investment stocks and stay away from the speculative individual stocks that people think are going to be here and there. Take a look at Cathie Wood. She's getting rocked. It's a 5-year forecast. Shut up with that. 5-year. You don't know if you're going to be around 5 years from now. How are you going to say where your portfolio is going to be? This is innovation. This is like you're changing the world. Really? You're changing the world with some of the stocks she picks? How is Roku changing the world? That's one of the stocks in her portfolio. How was Roku? She's getting rocked. So Do what's best for you. Don't worry about beating your friends. Don't worry about beating other people in investing. It's not about beating anyone. It's about what's best for you. Hope this helps. Have a great weekend. Be safe. No regrets.